I have really only worked 3 jobs aside from my current 9 to 5, so I'll just pretty much talk about my experiences in those and what they were like. So my first job ever was a Domino's delivery driver. It was an okay experience, nothing bad, nothing horrible, nothing great either. The way I got this job was also like pretty much as soon as I turned 18, because my parents at the time, they didn't let me work while going to school, only because I was also an athlete, and being an athlete in high school, you pretty much had to stay after school and sometimes in the morning, like get there before school starts. So you couldn't really dedicate some time to work outside. You could if you made sacrifices. My parents were strict into not letting me pretty much work. They were just more of like focus on school and focus on your sports. But pretty much my senior year is when I finally was like, I need to finally get a job, because I was on my way to college. I was just searching online. At this time, I also didn't really tell my parents I was looking for a job. I was just searching online and applying randomly to like local jobs, like a McDonald's, a Whataburger, Domino's, Wendy's, like all the fast food restaurants. I just needed money because, like I said, I was going to college. I applied at least to maybe like 10, 15 jobs before I finally got like a email, and then I got a call a couple minutes later after getting that email from my manager. I had my first interview ever in terms of for a job. Even though it was an interview for like a fast food restaurant, I was still nervous because like I've never really had an interview. I didn't know what to say, didn't know what to talk about. My dumbass actually went online to search about what to expect in an interview, how you should dress up and all that stuff. Mind you, I'm not gonna wear a damn suit to this kind of interview. The only thing I did wear was polo and blue jeans and some little nice, not dressy shoes, but like nice enough to not be like shoes like that were worn out. And then I also surprised my parents by saying, oh, I got an interview for Domino's. And they were like, okay. They were fine with it at this point, I think, because it was already towards the end of my senior year. So it was a month away from my graduation date. And I really needed money to go to college because I did not have any financial help in terms of getting FAFSA or financial aid. The only people that would help me out were my parents, so like they did help out pay for my college as well, so I'm grateful for that too. But I personally wanted to work for my money. I didn't want them to have that burden and sacrifice their own money, their hard work money, for me going to college. So after my interview, I start pretty much a week after that, and on my first day I remember it was like rush, or like the rush hour whenever everyone starts ordering food, especially for delivery drivers. I started on a Friday too, so that was probably like the worst day to start on. They were so busy, I didn't even know what was going on. Of course, you don't know what's going on your first day of any job. So since I'm a delivery driver, I'm not really much in the store at all times. So my manager tells me to go with this other delivery guy so he can teach me how to pretty much deliver pizza. I feel like it was self-explanatory. I didn't really need to. Still did it anyway. The only thing I kind of needed to know was really how to read the receipt in terms of making sure you're taking the right things and how to check the pizza boxes, see if they were the right food for the customer, and also to make sure you're taking the right dipping sauces, the right drinks, and putting the right sauces on the wings. And also if there was a salad, like these things that I'm now mentioning. I remember I forgot one time to take a drink and I had to go back and deliver it to a person that I forgot about. Yeah, that's the quality customer service they have. And I gave them also a free like ranch on the side as well. Like it was probably the easiest job you could do. You just come in, go out, deliver pizzas, you rinse and repeat. The only times where you didn't deliver pizza, if it was like a slow day where there's like an hour or two where no one ordered the delivery, they had us pretty much doing busy work by like cleaning the restaurant or prepping the food and putting them in bags or putting them in little containers to have them ready for the next couple of days. I would say the only thing I did hate was the people who didn't tip. Some people did not tip at all, but like you have others who would tip like pretty big as well. The biggest tip I ever got was probably like $30. Actually no, it was $50 because I delivered to a school, and the schools are not really supposed to tip, but I think the teacher felt bad and pretty much gave me a tip either way. There's really been only 3 things that happened to me that were like the craziest shit ever. There was one time I was driving on a delivery and I was coming back to the store. I'm slowly coming up to a 4-way stop sign, and there was no one. At least I thought there was no one on any of the other like sides of the road. I was going straight, and there was a guy to my left on a motorcycle who is turning to his left, which is going in my direction. I moved slightly forward, like a couple feet, maybe 5 to 10 feet forward, and he also is turning at the same time. Like I said, I didn't see him, so as soon as I saw him at the corner of my eye, I stopped, and then I let him go in front of me since he was there before me. This is also like one of the first times I experienced road rage, so it was like horrible experience. I know it was my fault that I didn't see him at first. Like I said, I only moved like 5 to 10 feet, not too much. He still had enough space, maybe even like 20, 30 feet apart from the both of us for him to turn to his direction. And we were at a stop, so I only maybe even went less than 10 miles an hour. Mind you, the speed limit was like 30 miles per hour. But this guy did not give a shit, so what he did was started following me, flipping me off and stuff, and we came to another stop sign, and it was a 2-lane where like you could still, both of you are still going in the same direction. So he was to my right, just flipping me off and cussing me out. He was yelling at me saying, "I'm going to kill you, motherfucker." I'm like, what? I kid you not, he like he pulled out a Glock, and I was like scared for my life. I haven't even told my friends or family this story, but I had to tell my manager just for my safety. So this guy is still chasing me. He took a picture of my license plate, which even got me more scared. I don't know if that could have gotten me in trouble or getting me fired or something. So I tried to get rid of him by using my signals. Like I was gonna turn left into a parking lot. So he decided to cut me off in front of me and turn into the parking lot of this other pizza place, Peter Piper Pizza. Instead of just following him, I just floored it and went straight, and I went back to my store. And then I just told my manager what just happened, and he told me just to stay inside for the next like hour and see if like things calm down. I went home that day scared for my life. Hopefully he didn't follow me after work. Thank God he didn't. So that was probably the craziest thing that happened to me. But there was 2 other things. They're not as crazy. So for example, like one time I went to go deliver a pizza. It wasn't even in our zone. I remember this specifically. It was like, this is not in our zone. This is for the other Domino's that's like nearby to them. So I just took it anyway because like they left a $5 tip. I was like, might as well go. So I went. As soon as I got there, these guys were like high as hell. And they were like, hey bro, you want to smoke some? I'm like, At the time, I've never really smoked or drank. So like I grew up as a goody two shoes, especially like during high school. I was low key tempted, but I didn't do it. I just left. I was like, nah, bro, I'm good. But here's your food. So that happened to me as well. The third thing that happened to me was this one time I delivered a pizza, and this girl in lingerie was at the door grabbing the food, and she asked me if I wanted to come inside. I'm like, I didn't even know what the fuck to say or do. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Because at the time I was talking to a girl, and I didn't want to ruin that by this dumbass situation. So I just got back in my car and went back to the store. Not that I'm editing the video, I forgot to mention this. There was also one time I saw a car on fire. It was actually the first time I ever saw a car on fire. So here's a video. What the fuck? There's a car on fire. What the fuck is going on? And that's another crazy thing that happened when I was working for Domino's. As far as for my second job, I was already in college by this point. It was still my freshman year. It was the second semester of my freshman year. I was desperate for money. So I saw that they were hiring for intramural basketball referees. And I was like, you know what? Might as well get some money on the side as I'm going to class. There was this whole training for like 2 days or 3 days. I can't exactly remember. You would have to do like these drills, like if you were actually playing the sport. And by drills, I mean like running back and forth like on cones, or like pretty much just exercising, getting yourself into shape, since there's a lot of running in basketball back and forth. In the same training, you also had to like pretend you were calling a foul and like do the right hand signals and making sure you're making the right calls. There was also practice games before like the season started, so that the refs were able to get that practice in, also cardio. The thing I didn't understand is, why were there people that wanted to be refs if they didn't even know the sport or how to play the sport? I noticed that was a common thing in intramural referees, is that they never played the sport and they still wanted to be refs. I just don't know how that was able to even happen, or how people even let that slide. Aside from just playing, they've also never even seen like games. One of my first games that I refed, I was getting yelled at just for making one bad call. And it was my fault, but at the same time, I understand how refs feel. So whenever people get mad at a ref, I don't really say anything. I just like stay quiet. I was like, imagine being in their shoes again. There was also one time when I was a referee. One of the students was like dressed up in a suit, like a full-on suit, coaching their team, and that was pretty funny and cool at the same time. Now that I'm talking about this, I remember that person wearing the suit was one of my best friends now, but before I didn't meet him until like a year or two later after I was like a referee. And I remember I saw him and another person that looked exactly like him, and come to find out they were twins. I don't think they remember me being a referee. Maybe they do. I haven't really asked them about it. I just think it's kind of crazy that the people you run into from years before, you somehow meet them again years later and they end up being your best friends. But as far as like the craziest things I've seen on those courts was there was these dudes that were like 6'4", 6'3", dunking on girls. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And we're students too, like the refs. So like whenever we saw that, we were just like mostly laughing, because what am I supposed to do? Like tell the guys they're not supposed to dunk, especially on girls? That shit was low-key entertaining, so I kept wanting to see them dunk. As for working hours, there was only like 8 to 10 hours you were able to work during the week. And also it was only like 6 weeks of a season, because you have like 3 weeks for the regular season, and then it's like the other 3 weeks for like postseason. And after that, the season's over, you're not getting a paycheck anymore. So it wasn't even that much money. It was like $10 an hour. So if you do the math, I only got like $600 for like a month and a half, and I had to use that for a whole semester. And then after my freshman year, I went back to Domino's, working at my hometown. It's not my third job. It's still like, I still consider that my first job, even though I went back. On the other hand, my third job was working at Whole Foods in Austin, which is where I went to college. As far as for that kind of job, it was also an easy job. So what my role was working in the prepared food section, and in that area they have a like a buffet area. They have like pre-packed sandwiches, pre-packed salads, and all that kind of stuff. So I was like the one helping set those kind of things up. I was mostly hired to make pizza, since on my resume I had Domino's. Like my managers there at Whole Foods wanted me to mostly just focus on the pizza, since I had that experience. But I would also do other things like working with the deli, working with like making burritos, helping like package some food, also meal prepping, like pretty much basic things. Also working at Whole Foods taught me how to kind of cook, mostly because like there is chefs there, so they teach you kind of the simple things. For example, they taught me like how to hold a knife properly, how to cut things properly with a knife, the basic spices you need for food, so like salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, those kind of things. There wasn't many crazy experiences I had here, or maybe even none at all. The only like bad thing that happened was it was my fault that I read on a schedule that I was supposed to work certain days and misread a certain day. I think it was like Thursday and Friday were the days I wasn't supposed to work, but I thought it was like Wednesday and Thursday. I pretty much missed half of Wednesday, and then I had to run all the way to the store. Yeah, mind you, I didn't have a car in college, so I had to pretty much run like 30 minutes just to get to work. Like if I was late, yeah, there was buses, but sometimes they wouldn't make it in time, so I just like booked it that one day and just got to work late and pretty much missed like half the day. So I just asked my manager if I could stay the other half that I missed, and they said that was cool. The only thing I will remember is one of my coworkers. She was like a homegirl. She was like really chill. She was also my age, so she was like 21, I was 20 at the time. We were just pretty much hanging out, just talking about school, since we went to the same college, just yapping and stuff. We got a little closer. Like I said, we were just like buddies. We didn't date or anything, but there was one time where she did like compliment me. Her words were, "You're a handsome young man." I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm in the slower side of the spectrum when it comes to talking to women that I'm interested in. So in that moment, I didn't really know what to say except thank you. I honestly couldn't tell if she was like hitting on me or it was just a genuine compliment like you say to a friend. I know how to talk to women that are my friends platonically, so there's nothing like of interest for either of us in a romantic way. But this felt different only because she was like very touchy with my arms whenever she said it, so I didn't know what to say or do. Like I said, I'm a shy guy, so you can just imagine me being like quiet, not really saying anything except, oh, thank you. I didn't even say a compliment back or continue with the conversation we were having before. After that situation, we still stayed as friends and we were still talking before I quit my job because I was going back to school. But she moved back to her hometown and we kind of really haven't seen or talked to each other since then. Another thing is that it's very rare that I receive a compliment, at least in person. You may get compliments from like your family, like from your aunt, grandma, or mom. I can really only count on one hand how many times I've been complimented by women in person, and it's only been like 4 times, which are also not from family. Sorry for going on that small tangent, but yeah, so those have been my jobs. So Domino's, working as a referee, and working at Whole Foods. For Domino's, I was getting paid minimum wage, so like it was $7.25. And for being a referee, like I said, it was $10, but I only worked like 10 hours a week, and it was only for 6 weeks. And for Whole Foods, I was getting paid 15 an hour. It was a bigger jump from what I was used to compared to other jobs. And for Domino's and Whole Foods, they were both full time, like during the summer. So I was only working for like 3 months. So that way I could have enough money for like the school year for college. Now I currently work a 9 to 5 as an engineer. I'll get to that later on, like in a different story or a different video. Please make sure to comment and subscribe if you like these kind of videos. This is pretty much the basis of my channel where I cook in the background and you guys can just listen to me yap. Y'all can also recommend some dishes you would like to see me cook, and I'll with the ingredients and recipes of the dishes that I make in the description. And if I saw the video online, I would add a link for y'all to go follow as well. Today I made a German style sausage pasta. Ingredients and recipe in the description. So thank y'all for listening and watching. See ya.